Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Coach Gene Clemens, and I have a giant issue. To me, it's an interesting thing, right? We have to congratulate what the Giants are doing, but we also have to acknowledge that none of us thought that the Giants would be here. But it's time to get away from that. Like it's time to go away from that thought process because it does not matter how the Giants got here. It matters that the Giants are here. And if we continually focus on the fact that, oh, well, they're not playing tough competition or they've gotten lucky in some games or they're winning in a manner that is not sustainable, then you just miss out on all of the glory that is celebrating when your team is on top. Why worry about tomorrow? Focus on today. And with that, you won't hear me say another word about Daniel Jones while this year is going on because it doesn't matter. Daniel Jones is the quarterback this year, and Daniel Jones is playing quarterback successfully for this team this year. He's playing quarterback well enough to allow this team opportunities to win. That's all that matters. It's all that matters in the grand scheme of things. I'm not talking anymore about Saquon Barkley's contract. You know why? Because that's what it is. So after today, you won't hear me say anything again about Saquon Barkley's contract for the rest of the season, unless I am asked in an interview capacity of some nature. But you won't see me on social media talking about it. You won't hear me talking about it on a giant issue because it just doesn't matter at this point, right? We have to learn to appreciate what we have in the present and not always look to the future. But since this is a giant issue, I have to bring up some things that we need to be noted going into the next week and the subsequent weeks. We can say whatever we want to say. We can think Kadarius Toney just magically got healthy when he was traded. But if you believe that, you're bugging. If you believe that, you're misguided. Here's what I believe happened. I think that somewhere along the lines, the Giants, the new Giants regime, and Kadarius Toney decided that they were not a good fit for each other. It is not surprising to me that Kadarius Toney went right over to the Chiefs after little to no time and has become a legitimate factor in their offense. He already has a touchdown in Kansas City. He never had a touchdown in New York. I think that there's a certain level of misguided thinking when we approach our teams that we believe that anytime there's an issue, unless it's quarterback, of course, anytime there's an issue, it's always on the players. But clearly what we're seeing is Kadarius Toney was not utilized to his full capacity, not with last year's or coaching staff, and certainly not with this year's coaching staff. And it's amazing to me, right? Because the Giants offense could use a Kadarius Toney type. So for a team to need a type of athlete, a type of football player like Toney, and not utilize Toney for whatever reason, and I am telling you right now, I have no understanding of what the reason is. But there was some type of fracture, and I'm going to say that the blame goes on both sides. There was something KT wasn't doing that this new regime needed him to do. And then there was something that this organization that they rubbed him the wrong way about, and he said, I got to get out of here. And between both of them, it was a waste of a first-round draft pick on a talent that is clearly first-round draft pick worthy. All of you people trying to act like Kadarius Toney wasn't good because he wasn't playing, you look like fools. You look like absolute fools. Now, what you could say is Kadarius Toney you might surmise that Kadarius Toney wasn't dedicated enough to being a Giant. That's completely and totally fair. You can't say he was injury prone because it seems last year and this year that a lot of his missing of time was not based on actual injury. It was just shaped to the public that way. And unfortunately, those public perceptions that we bring out can do a lot to damage a player's career in the NFL. Right? But we see the talent. That man went right over to Kansas City midweek after being injured all of these weeks for the Giants. Walked in off 3 days, caught passes. The next week, dynamic plays and a touchdown. But I thought he had issues with learning the playbook. That's why he wasn't. Remember last year when people told us that he couldn't learn the playbook? He didn't know what to do. He was freestyling. I guess Kansas City figured out how to allow him to freestyle a little bit better. To me, that's an L for the organization. It's an L for the organization. Regardless of what he does, right? What you got back for him based off of his ceiling and where he was drafted, that's an L for the organization. Don't tell me this, Joe Shane did. No, that's an L. It's okay to say it. They can't all be W's. We can't always win. Sometimes we got to lose. They lost in this one. Winner, Kadarius Toney. You know why? Because he just went from Daniel Jones, who has played well, but is not on the level anywhere near the level of the quarterback that he's playing with now, in an offense built to take advantage of guys with his skill set. That's fantastic to me. It's another thing you're going to have to get used to, right? We're going to have to get used to this idea of Saquon Barkley having to prove anything. Like, we got to get rid of that. That's over. Saquon Barkley is who we thought he was when he was a rookie and into his second year. And the only reason he was not who we said he was or who we thought he was is because he was injured. And the moment he was no longer injured, the moment he was 100% healthy again, guess what? He went right back to being Saquon Barkley. And he proved it yet again this week. He proved it yet again. He proved that he not only could carry a heavy load, but he could be hella productive when he does it. He's carrying the load and he's being productive. It's time to start talking about Saquon Barkley in the MVP category. This team is where they are primarily because Saquon Barkley has been phenomenal. I don't care like what people think about how good Daniel Jones has been. I don't care how solid the defense has been. They're not where they are right now if Saquon Barkley is not Saquon Barkley. And I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. He's got zero reason to take a hometown discount. He's got zero reason to take a team-friendly deal. You guys got to get that out of your brain. You're still sitting back here thinking that Saquon Barkley is going to take some lowball offer or that he should take a lowball offer. No. If you think he's playing underneath a franchise tag, you're bugging. And you know why? Because the franchise tag puts them in the situation where they're going to lose him after that year because they're not going to franchise him twice because that number is ridiculous, right? So either he's going to not play on that franchise tag or he will. And then the team is going to say, do we really want to lose this supreme talent at the end of the year for nothing? So guess what they'd probably look to do? They'll probably look to trade him. And they'll probably look to trade him at the most unadvantageous time for him. Because that's what they did. That's what they did already. They waited until they thought the market had dried up for big money for James Bradberry. Then they tried to negotiate for him to take his money down, to figure some stuff out. When he said, no, I'll just take the money you owe me, they cut him. They got him up out of there. They took the hit, right? And he walked right over to Philadelphia and continued to be an all-pro. Don't be surprised if you see the same type of thing happen with Saquon Barkley. I will say this, though. If this is the type of team that Brian Daboll, as an offensive mind, and Coach Wink, as a defensive mind, can produce with this level of talents all around, without having the high-level talent at certain key positions, if this is the level of team that they can produce with the talent that they have on the field, with all the injuries and everything they've got going on, if this is what they can do, as a fan, you've got to be excited on what happens when they start to fill in all the gaps. How good do they get when they start to be able to employ weapons everywhere? Defensively, offensively, legitimate edge rush pressure on a regular basis. Linebackers who not only tackle but cover. Safeties who are great. Cornerbacks who can lock down legitimately. What happens on the offensive line when they add a legitimate center? A legitimate center, a legitimate guard to go along with these bookends that are coming along. When they add a legitimate number one receiver so that Slayton can be the guy that we've always seen him be, except for when he wasn't getting opportunities. And now he slots in as a number two, maybe even a number three. Wan'Dale Robinson slots in where he's supposed to be at, which is a guy who is used in a myriad of ways. Oh my gosh, like the opportunity for growth with this team offensively and defensively is phenomenal. What if they are able to find a Patrick Mahomes level, a top tier guy, and not just a guy who plays well and gives them opportunities to win, but guys who actually go out there and win games for them? The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. You got to feel awesome about that. If they're doing this now with the team that they have and the culture that they're building, when you add better talent, that culture holds that talent in place. It's a fantastic thing. And you, as Giants fans, you have to be extremely, extremely excited about that. Game balls. One goes to Saquon Barkley for sure. One goes to Dane Belton for sure. Whenever you're able to come in and take the place of a guy who has been one of the stalwarts of the defense, and that defense is still able to hold up, even against the run, they were able to hold up. You got to give it to the rookie. So game ball to the rookie, game ball to Dane Belton, game ball to Saquon Barkley for what he did. Honorable mention game ball to Daniel Jones, who played a really, really, really good game. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be great. Listen, if you guys think that this Detroit game is a walkover, you're bugging. This Detroit game's not a walkover. That Detroit offense is legit. They put points on the board. They have weapons. The defense will come in we have to trust that the defense is going to come in with a game plan to slow them down. That offense, but that Detroit defense is terrible. If Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones don't have their way with this team, that's a black eye on the offensive coaching staff, because this Detroit defense is bad. But you can't make it a shootout, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to get in a shootout. That's their best opportunity for wins. Don't allow yourself to get into a shootout with them. Go out, play your game, continue to do what you do best, and then systematically pull away from them as the game goes on. I'm excited to see it. I'm happy for Giants fans. I'm happy for Giants Country. Make sure that you check out all of my content at Giants Country. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and catch all of my New York Giants specific information. I'm going to do some video breakdowns, some play breakdowns, because I think that you guys will enjoy that. So look out for those coming soon too. Until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Go Big Blue.